Folks, a number of folks have been speaking about this particular bill. And again, it narrowly passed on the first vote. One of those folks is North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican. He voted against the bill. Donald Trump then threatened him, saying, he blasted him, saying he was going to find somebody to run against him next year for re-election. Tillis then announced that he was going to retire and not seek re-election. Well, that then caused him to take the muzzle off, and he went after this bill and the impact, especially in Medicaid, on his state. It's amazing how he found courage after he chose not to seek re-election. Just listen to some of what he had to say.
So we had 3 different conference calls with CMS, with Oz on the phone and on the video, and me on the video. And I said this, guys, I would love nothing more than you to prove me wrong. I would love nothing more for you to tell me it's not $26 billion or $30 billion, that it's $2.6 billion or $2 billion or $200 million. But after 3 different attempts for them to discredit our estimates, the day before yesterday, they admitted that we were right, that between the state-directed payments and the cuts scheduled in this bill, there's a reduction of state-directed payments, and then there's the reduction of the provider tax. They can't find a hole in my estimate. So what they told me is that, yeah, it's rough, but North Carolina's used the system. They're going to have to make it work. All right, so what do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, guys? When the White House, senators advising the president are not telling him that the effect of this bill is to break a promise. And you know, the last time I saw a promise broken around health care, with respect to my friends on the other side of the aisle, it's when somebody said, if you like your health care, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. We found out that wasn't true. That made me the second Republican Speaker of the House since the Civil War, ladies and gentlemen, because we betrayed the promise to the American people. 2 years later, 3 years later, it actually made me a U.S. Senator because in 2010, it had just been proposed. And just anticipation of what was going to happen was enough to have a sea change election that swept Republicans into the majority for the second time in 100 years. Now, Republicans are about to make a mistake on health care and betraying a promise. It is inescapable that this bill in its current form will betray the very promise that Donald J. Trump made in the Oval Office or in the cabinet room when I was there with finance, where he said we can go after waste, fraud, and abuse on any programs. Now, those amateurs that are advising him, not Dr. Oz, I'm talking about White House healthcare experts, refused to tell him that those instructions that were to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse all of a sudden eliminates a government program that's called the provider tax. We have morphed a legal construct that admittedly has been abused and should be eliminated into waste, fraud, and abuse. Money laundering. Read the code. Look at how long it's been there. I was Speaker of the House. I refused to do it. When I left North Carolina, I said, we're not going to do a provider tax. I left it at 2.5%. Now it's 6%. Mistake on the part of the leadership. And frankly, I know my friends are probably going to think I'm a little bit crazy here, but I actually passed a law that made it illegal to expand Medicaid. Why did I do that? Because I was convinced someday we would be here. And I would have rather found a way to get more people on Medicaid at the standard FMAP than having this 90-10 match and watching it disappear and taking away desperately needed health care.
Wow. Courage. Boy, it would have been great if he said all of that before announcing his retirement. Folks, there's so much to unpack that is in this particular bill. It is an absolute giveaway to rich folks in corporate America. It screws low-income poor people. And all of these so-called evangelicals on the right, oh, they are loving it. And it's really shameful. And so there's a furious effort on the part of Democrats to flip a couple of Republicans to vote against this and kill this bill. Joining us now, Dr. Ome Congo Dibinga, Senior Professorial Lecturer, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism, out of D.C. Dr. Larry J. Walker, Associate Professor, University of Central Florida, out of Orlando. Michael Imhotep, host, African History Network show out of Detroit. Glad to have all three of you here. Larry, I'm going to start with you. The thing here is we saw what happened over the weekend. Deals were cut with people like Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski that would do various carve-outs for her particular state. Well, the Senate parliamentarian overruled those, saying those cannot be used when it comes to reconciliation. For folks who don't understand the Senate rules, by reconciliation, they could pass it with a simple majority and it not require a 60-vote threshold. So that's why they're using the reconciliation way. So that's out of the window. So what are you going to do, Lisa Murkowski? Senator Susan Collins, she voted for this. Of course, we know Senator Thom Tillis voted against it. Senator Rand Paul voted against it. He was blasting it, saying it was going to massively raise the federal deficit, and that's what Republicans were always crowing about. So hypocrites abound.
So it's interesting, Roland. This bill and debate has very reflected my time on Capitol Hill, where Republicans were fiscal hawks, right? Remember all that talk over the last several decades about, being responsible stewards. So we know that the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has said that this bill will add over $3 trillion to the deficit, and obviously not even talking about the economic healthcare impact in terms of more than 11 million people being kicked off of the healthcare, whether it's through the Affordable Care Act and various other mechanism. So this bill is going to have a tremendous, and not in a good way, impact on the U.S. economy, particularly the lives of everyday citizens. The other thing that we're not talking enough about, Roland, is the impact this is going to have on the ability for lower income, middle class kids going off to college. It lowers Pell Grants. It also makes it more difficult for people to take out student loans, PLUS loans. I believe it eliminates PLUS loans, et cetera. And doesn't give you a pathway to have your loans forgiven. This is going to impact in terms of individuals who are going to want to be dentists or physicians, et cetera. So the implications of this bill are far-reaching, and there are a lot of Americans who are sleepwalking through this. And by the time they look up over the next 2 to 3 years, it may not necessarily impact you, but it's going to devastate family and friends and other members of your community. And this wide-ranging bill it's just a travesty. In all my years working on Capitol Hill and following politics, I've never seen a bill like this with such a massive wealth transfer from low to moderate income families to wealthy families.
What we hear people say, what they're saying is that flat out that this could be the biggest wealth transfer in American history. That's what we constantly are hearing on Makongo.
Yeah, and it's happening right in front of all of our faces. And the fact of the matter is, you spent this whole segment showing what Reverend Barber is doing, and others. We talk about this every day, and all of us here are damn near 24-hour consumers of news. We haven't seen this anywhere. A study came out today that showed, like on Fox News, the ratio of them on Fox, I'm sorry, because it's not news. The ratio of them mentioning Medicaid versus mentioning Biden is 10-1. They mention Biden more than they do Medicaid. So the people who are watching that, so many people out there don't even know about this bill. And some who know about the bill don't even know about Medicaid being in it. And so the messaging has been very problematic. Democrats have gotten a lot better on the messaging on this particular issue, but people need to be, these senators, these politicians, these Democrats, they need to be out there with Moral Mondays. They need to be out here, talking about this every day. They need to be bigging up this platform because when we're talking about this wealth transfer, I'm just tired of seeing so many issues in this country. And I know we'll talk more about them tonight, immigration and other stuff, of people not feeling like something's going to bother them because they feel like it doesn't affect them. This is going to affect you. Oh, I got private insurance. It's not going to affect you. You think it's not going to affect you when more people are looking for, the fewer doctors that are available, or people are flooding the hospitals or flooding the network? We can go down the list of how many things that are going to affect people who think this bill won't affect them. But it's not going to happen unless we have more people like you, Roland Martin, like Reverend Barbers, who are out there telling the truth. And I applaud not only Reverend Barber, but all of the people of all backgrounds, religious, racial, cultural, gender, who are showing up with him and taking this message back to their communities. Because this is going to pass, Roland. It's going to pass. The Supreme Court and these Republican politicians have not stopped Trump on anything. They've slowed him down here and there, but they are going to give in, and we have to prepare for it.
Michael, the Louisiana healthcare system is trying to let House Speaker Mike Johnson know this is an awful, awful bill. They dropped a statement. This is literally the entire Louisiana healthcare system. You see all of these logos here, where it says, on behalf of Louisiana's hospitals and largest healthcare systems, we come together as stewards of our community's health and well-being. Together, we are unified in our concern over the proposed cuts to Medicaid that are being debated in Congress. These cuts will be historic in their devastation and warrant our shared advocacy to protect our patients and the care we provide them at our hospitals and clinics. They lay out that the steep cuts will force consolidation of services, staffing reductions and closures, reducing healthcare access to everyone in our communities. Our rural communities will especially feel the impact, as many of these hospitals are already in difficult financial situations and are likely to experience a significant reduction of services. The potential impact will be felt by everyone in the state. Now, that's just the healthcare workers. You also have electrical workers, some 800,000 electrical workers, many of them who voted for Trump. They drafted this here. IBEW International President Kenneth Cooper said this budget reconciliation bill is a direct attack on working families, shoveling tax breaks to the rich while turning his back on the people who power this country. The IBEW strongly opposes any proposal that guts infrastructure investment, especially plans like this one that sacrifice existing economic development while providing no clear benefit to working Americans. At a time when we should be investing in energy independence at home, this bill forces our economy to rely on foreign adversaries while dramatically increasing energy bills for every household and draining local communities of the jobs they rely on. What they're talking about right here, all of those green economy, green jobs that are being slashed. They are gutting electric vehicles, tax breaks for solar, things along those lines. IBEW says, make no mistake, this bill will cost hundreds of thousands of good-paying construction jobs, billions of work hours, and hundreds of billions in lost wages and economic benefits to America's middle class. I'm sure a lot of those white electrical workers who voted for Trump are now kicking themselves in the butt, Michael. We tried to tell you.
Absolutely, we tried to tell you, and the urban area, the rural areas are going to be hurt even more by this bill. Like Louisiana, okay, they voted for Trump, former Confederate state. When we look at Medicaid, for instance, the bill is estimated to cut $1 trillion from Medicaid by 2034. Okay. Now, it's also important to understand that there's about 72 million people in America on Medicaid. 20% of them are Black. Okay. 20% of them are African Americans. When we look at, you're going to have cuts to SNAP. Okay. SNAP food assistance. Also, as Reverend William Barber correctly stated, it's estimated that 50,000 people are going to die per year because healthcare is going to be taken away from them. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimates that 11.8 million people will lose healthcare over, by 2034. So this is horrific. I call it the big ass ugly bill. Okay, this is horrific. This shows the consequences of elections. But the other thing is, Roland, so this is the fiscal year budget. Have you heard anything about stimulus checks that some Black people said they were voting for Trump for? I haven't heard anything about stimulus checks. Because I saw interviews with idiotic black people saying that they were voting for Trump again because they wanted stimulus checks. There's nothing in here about that. But what's in here is going to devastate the African American community, but devastate America as a whole. We tried to tell you.
We did. Also, let me go with the building trade unions. They also have come out against this bill as well. North America's Building Trades Union. This is from Sean McGarvey. The revised Senate draft released late last night is a massive insult to the working men and women of North America's building trades unions and all construction workers. This is not what they voted for. If enacted, this stands to be the biggest job-killing bill in the history of this country.